In tonight's headlines, medical staff go all out to bring Christmas cheer at Children's Hospital. A mass holiday exodus from Hong Kong sees catering business in the city slump more than 10% on Christmas Eve. And 70 Palestinians killed in an Israeli airstrike on a refugee camp in central Gaza. Among the many Christmas celebrations across the city, the one at the Duchess of Kent Children's Hospital in Sandy Bay was special. Over 100 medical staff and volunteers held a parade outside the facility this morning. Their mission was to bring joy to around 30 children who have to spend their Christmas in hospital.
希望可以揀啲藥可以醒啲。
I hope there are drugs that allow my son to be more awake so he can recognize his mother, said this woman whose son suffers from epilepsy.
聖誕願望就係都係快啲好返。
Meanwhile, this teenager who is diagnosed with dwarfism wished he can recover from a leg surgery soon so that he can be discharged and play with his friends. Merry Christmas! Last night, many of the faithful gathered for Mass at the Cathedral of the Immaculate Conception in Mid-Levels. Cardinal Stephen Chow led the Mass.
Remember, all saints have the darkened past, yet all sinners can have promising future. And that's what Christmas is about.
Two days ago, Chief Executive John Lee and his wife Janet had invited visually impaired students to sing Christmas carols at Government House. Other students from the culinary and tourism streams indulged the first family in making cocktails and decorations. Writing on his Facebook page, Lee urged Hong Kongers to care for people from different backgrounds so that the city can be filled with warmth and kindness. Maisie Mock, Cable News.
Despite many people out and about enjoying the festive season, restaurants and bars across Hong Kong saw business drop more than 10% this Christmas. Travel operators believe 1/3 of Hong Kongers have left the city during the extra long weekend. Simon Wong, chairman of Hong Kong Federation of Restaurants and Related Trades, said the catering sector saw a 15% dip in overall business volume on Christmas Eve. Some restaurants and hotels, which previously required bookings to be made 2 to 3 weeks in advance, had tables to accommodate walk-ins this year. Chinese restaurants were among the worst affected, he added. Head of the Hong Kong Bar and Club Association, Chin Chen Wing, said reservations were down 70%, and he expects businesses to take a 30% hit overall compared with the same period last year. With more people traveling out of Hong Kong during the holiday, chairwoman of the Lan Kwai Fong Association, Anthea Zhang, said bars in the entertainment district are going all out to attract customers. International DJs, festive drinks, and food to boost Christmas vibes are on offer at Lan Kwai Fong. Janice Yu, Cable News. Chairman of Hong Kong Tourism Association, Timothy Choi, said more Hong Kongers are opting to visit mainland cities during the Christmas break. Speaking on a radio show, Choi said trips to the Greater Bay Area are especially popular. The number of people joining group tours has surpassed pre-pandemic levels, with an even greater number traveling to mainland destinations on their own, he added. Traveling and spending on the mainland has become a norm for Hong Kongers since commuting and accommodation is much more affordable, Choi said. A spike in airfares and a curtailed flight frequency to many regional destinations is also a contributing factor, according to Choi. There are no Christmas holidays on the mainland, so that takes a toll on inbound tourism, Choi said. According to data from the Immigration Department, 1.05 million people crossed into and out of Hong Kong on Christmas Eve, but 633,000 of them were outbound travelers. Retail sector lawmaker Peter Shiu said high travel and hotel costs are keeping international tourists away. Janice Yu, Cable News.
The Buildings Department has ordered owners of 20 luxury homes in Bewley Peninsula to take down illegal structures. 4 owners in the Tuen Mun estate were prosecuted after they failed to comply with previous removal orders. The department has stepped up efforts after torrential rains in September triggered a landslide at Red Hill Peninsula in Tai Tam, where 70 out of 85 properties had encroached on government land or had illegal structures. An aerial survey of properties in Bewley Peninsula earlier this month revealed some houses with illegal extensions. Over 6,000 people attended the evening mass at St. Peter's Basilica in Vatican City on Christmas Eve. Pope Francis greeted various religious leaders as he arrived at the church in a wheelchair. During Mass, the pontiff grieved for the city of Bethlehem, the biblical birthplace of Jesus, where no celebrations were held due to the ongoing Israel-Hamas conflict. Francis said, "Tonight our hearts are in Bethlehem, where the Prince of Peace is once more rejected by the futile logic of war, by the clash of arms that even today prevents him from finding room in the world." Francis remembered people from Palestine, Israel, and Ukraine who have suffered because of war. He also prayed for those suffering from misery, hunger, and slavery. May the God who took a human heart for himself infuse humanity into the hearts of men, he added. For the 3rd year in a row, the service was held earlier instead of midnight, keeping in mind the Pope's health. Despite the somber mood, many faithful still gathered at the Church of the Nativity in Bethlehem to attend midnight mass on Christmas Eve. Festive lights and the Christmas tree that normally adorn Manger Square were missing. So were the throngs of foreign tourists and pilgrims who gather in the West Bank town each year to mark the holiday. Maisie Mock, Cable News.
In one of the bloodiest days in the Israel-Hamas conflict, more than 70 people were killed by an Israeli airstrike on the Al-Maghazi refugee camp in central Gaza. The death toll was likely to rise given the large number of families living in the area. Dozens of injured people were rushed to nearby Al-Aqsa hospital, which is operating beyond its capacity for more than a month now. Many of those injured were children and had to be treated on the floor of the hospital as the facility has been overwhelmed. By daybreak, body bags could be seen on the ground outside the hospital, making the scale of the misery unimaginable. Teams from the World Health Organization, which are on ground in Gaza, stated that sustained humanitarian access is essential, especially supplies of food, water, fuel, and medicines. But such an infrastructure is not in place yet.
There's the risk of a famine here in Gaza, actually, and even here in the hospital, everybody says that they only have rice. They have very often only one meal a day, and they're hungry. So, we've brought medical supplies here, we've brought surgical supplies here. Everybody wants food, and we're currently in the kitchen trying to find a way that we can reactivate this kitchen.
More than 20,000 people have been killed in relentless Israeli bombings so far, mostly children and women. Another 54,000 have been injured since Hamas attacked Israel, killing 1,200 people and taking about 240 hostages in early October. Sachin Kadpi, Cable News. Opposition supporters gathered outside the city hall in the Serbian capital Belgrade to protest against voting fraud during a general election last weekend. Officials shut themselves inside the building as demonstrators chanted slogans and tried to enter the premises. Leader of the opposition, Alexander Jovanovic Kuta, urged the demonstrators to storm the building and liberate it. Many tried to kick open the door but could not get past as police retaliated with pepper spray. Soon things turned more violent as protesters tried to get in through the windows. Riot police inside the building stood firm and did not let anyone enter until reinforcements arrived. The angry mob was further frustrated and started pelting anything they could get their hands on. Additional security arrived and secured the building after dispersing the mob using tear gas.
U predsjedništvu Republike Srbije.
In an emergency address to the nation, Serbian President Alexander Vučić blamed the unrest on foreign interference. The election last weekend saw his Serbian Progressive Party return to power with a majority in parliament. Sachin Kadpi, Cable News.